Hello everyone, Constantine the Philosopher, back from the Philippines. Beautiful sunny day, a bit too sunny and hot, but lovely and peaceful. Today I was thinking to talk about something I had in mind called the puzzle of life. Basically, that the way I see life is like a big puzzle, like 10,000 pieces, 20,000 pieces, sometimes even more. Where sometimes you have like areas with just a big blue sky, and you have to put them together. And the reason I put this correlation is because I noticed in life, like I said in other videos too, that this kind of, it's like we're living, it's a collage of knowledge, and like we have so much, everybody, we're all like treasure hunters. We have no idea where we're going, travelers with no destination. We don't know where we're going, and we're always worried that, then we always want somebody to help us and give us direction. But at the end of the day, it's a trip. We have to. It's like the treasure. Nobody knows what it is. It's our treasure, and we have to find it. And it takes sometimes years and patience, and, mistakes and changing. And the reason also I connected with the puzzle is because sometimes when you work on a puzzle, it's not like you start from one piece and you go to one at a time connecting. You start like one group of like the sky, then you go to the trees, then you go to the river, hello, and then you do it to the house. So you just connect the dots, and you're trying to, hello there, hi, and you're trying to merge everything together. So that's it's like a beautiful puzzle when you work on things. However, it's very frustrating. Sometimes if you if you've done puzzles, it's not always pleasant, especially when you're stuck on the big blue sky. So in life, the next thing I have to, I want to add to this is the timing. Sometimes you get stuck and you won't go anywhere, and sometimes you come with with like a aha moment, like now I got it. This connects with that, and this is pretty much the interesting part of life, and that's how you connect pretty much, your knowledge and your, the information, your talents, your skills together is by this collaging, the collage of all this knowledge you've been gathering, these groups of knowledge, the blue sky, the trees, the house, hello, and finally all this becomes one big piece, and bigger, and you discover this beautiful, final result, which is your own puzzle pretty much. So, sometimes we get stuck and we don't want to finish. Sometimes we make something, we come across something beautiful, but it takes a long time, and that's I think where most people fail. We don't understand that it's not. There's no like you have to do this way or you have to do it that way. A puzzle, everybody does their own way, and they connect the dots, on their own. Anyway, so I thought that was something interesting, and I learned that I can give examples. For example, I was very talented, with a painting from young kid, because I always drew in the classroom. I guess repetition, maybe master. From young kid, I was never pay attention to the classroom, so I was always like drawing. And so I used to sell, when I was like teenager, large artworks for good money. But then I stopped. I was like, I didn't like, there was something, I didn't like. So what I'm saying is like, I started doing this puzzle, and then I just paused it, and then one day, to give an example, so I paused it for a while. I mean, long while, 20 years. But I give you the example. So I had like, the talent built up already. And then I said, what, I want to do something else. I want to do music or some other part of the puzzle, right? So then one day I was like, and then I became vegan, in my 30s. So there was another puzzle, you see, like another part of the puzzle done. So once I became, sorry, there's a horse there. Somebody yelling at the horse. So once I got, that part of the puzzle, the vegan part, and then I started walking with my dogs because, like I said before in other videos, I started rescuing animals, and so I had the dogs. I was walking them. So see, little puzzle here, the dog rescue, and I was walking in the art district. Those days was not very good. It's very safe, but I really liked it. And suddenly I saw, street art from, not Banksy, but some other, good artist, and I was inspired to go back to my art and do vegan messages. So pretty much the connection. You see, like I had one talent. I saw I got the other talent, the vegan. Let's say, it's kind of, let's call it like a collage, like a connection, dots of connections, like a group of dots together. So suddenly you start connecting things, and then boom, I see the art of others. I'm like, oh, I can do that. I can do, I think it was Mr. Uncertain, some other street artist, vegan. I was like, oh, I can do more. He was very rough, so I was like, I can do more gentle, more celebrity oriented or something, linked to the obey. Anyway, so and I started doing it, then bam, it took off because suddenly the dots come together. So the same, I did, for example, with this video, for example. I always had in mind to make videos. I always like to watch videos, to hear stories and and learn something from people who have to share information. But I never. Sorry, my dog is going crazy. But I never, sometimes it's not the right time. You just, it's kind of, you listen, to other videos, you test the waters. So I was like, I didn't feel it was the right time. I felt like I needed a setup, that I feel comfortable, because in LA, I don't feel comfortable with my camera. I don't want to be mugged or or in trouble or somebody yelling. Here people are very friendly, So hello, how are you? Bonjour, nice dog. Hello, dog. So anyhow, don't harass. And I used to talk. I used to like to talk to my mother every day. Because she lives in another country, in Europe. I call her on the phone every day, and I would talk to her like an hour or two about just ideas, and connections or whatever, experiences about life, problems, like everybody. And then I was like, I was like, my mother, I want to share, I want to share this eventually, and I had to find the right time. And suddenly, I come here, I'm like, wow, this is nice. Like I walk here, have a nice walk. I walk the dog, connecting again the dots. See the dog, the video, my knowledge, whatever, limited, my ideas, and maybe somebody gains something out of it. But also it's for my, my son to learn, some knowledge, and some friends of mine who want, maybe, share their own experiences. It's very important to, before we go, we have to give something. I mean, that's why we're here, to make the world better. Although all my videos sound like very pessimistic about the future, unfortunately, which with AI, robotics, and our stubbornness, greediness. But we have to be positive and keep going, and that's pretty much the idea. It's like, and another thing I wanted to mention is a great poem that I like a lot. It's from a Greek Kavafis, who I wish I was paying more attention in school. Like I said, I was just drawing and making. Well, it paid off a bit, and I enjoy drawing. So I won. I'm not so mad, but still. So Kavafis wrote a great poem about Ithaki, which is a Greek island, and it's about pretty much a guy who, it's about, I think, the journey of Ulysses, who goes through Cyclops, who goes through adventures, and he wants to go home. He just strives, and he goes through a lot, and the trip doesn't end. It gets harder and harder and harder. It never ends, and it's painful. And the message of this poem is great because he's like, he says like, don't worry, if you arrive, the trip is the beauty of it, the beauty of the whole. It's not like, for me, it's not about having 1 million followers or having like 1,000 likes or 1 million likes, whatever. This is irrelevant. For me, it's a trip. I enjoy what I do, and that's why it's about. And that's why I'm honest with you guys. I mean, I can't be 100% transparent. I mean, nobody is. We all have a fake mask, to cover some things that some people private things, right? And some things you want to really open up, like your social security. But it's a journey, and I just enjoy the process. I enjoy the changes. I've done music in recording studios with great people. I've done street art with great people, still doing it. Great contacts. I've done, I met great, people, in the vegan community. I mean, and matter of fact, here, great people here. I mean, everywhere I go, it's beautiful. Sorry, today is extremely hard. But look at this. Anyway, so I just enjoy the trip. Sometimes it's hard to appreciate, but that's what it comes down to just enjoy. We're all looking for a treasure. The treasure is find ourselves. Find you know, truth, find virtue, do the right thing, you know. When you see an animal in the street suffering, like a little cat, like I've seen here like 3 times. Like, when I came here, 3, 4 cats I found, you know, I pull over, help it. That's our job. We're here to, it's a trip, and we do our our little puzzles, fixing things, and making this world a better place slowly. So pretty much our life is like a detective work. And I think I'm gonna end it here today. It's so beautiful and so hot. I want to enjoy a bit the water sound. So yeah, I mean, do you have any idea, any comments or thoughts or what I said today? I keep it short because it's pretty much, I think I sound repeating myself, but that's why I want to mention to people the importance, of not panicking. It's a big puzzle. Connect things together slowly, and the treasure will come by itself. The dots will connect. The timing, So, but pretty much it's like the puzzle and the timing. You group a little piece together. You just keep spending the time, repetition, and the right time will come. The thing will be like a eureka moment, and that's it. Bam. All right, guys. I say bye from Luna, the beautiful Philippines, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care now.